Hello and welcome back to University Student Showdown, our first replay stream of week 3. I am joined here by Egder today. How are you doing?
Thank you, Blizzard, for not nuking the codes once more and forcing us to do a podcast, people. Much more excited about this one, University Student Showdown. It's another week. We're getting closer and closer to playoffs, and so I feel like we're beginning to form like more distinct power rankings, so to speak. We're getting a better idea of exactly what teams are going to show up, which teams might be struggling a little bit, and we have two pretty good matchups for you today.
Yep, we've got Sultans of Lancaster versus Plymouth Leviathans first. And these two teams, I believe, are around a Div 3 matchup that we're bringing you on our first game. Should be pretty close between the two of them, which is nice to see. We're going to go to our rosters. And we've got a couple of interesting names here. I'm not going to
I
lie.
could not tell you the first thing about any of these players aside from the fact that fuck you, I guess, because we have Overwatch 2 on DPS. Do you have any idea how confusing this is going to be for the entire match that we're gonna see? Reminder that this is a replay stream, so these matches were played on Sunday. We're just going over them now as if they were live, so maybe don't check the standings if you want to be ticked off to who might win, because hey, I'm going into this completely fresh, no idea who's going to win, and to be honest, I have no scouting onto either of these teams. Aside from the fact that there is in fact a player called Willy Boss on Plymouth, which force of nature happens to the best of us. There's really nothing more to be said. So I would instead talk a little bit more about how the game is shaping up itself, especially as we get closer and closer to Stockholm, the Overwatch finals. Hope to see a bunch of you there. By the way, I definitely will be. Avalanche, are you Stockholming?
No, not this year. Potentially next year.
Definitely next year. No, we're gonna have quite a few people from the student showdown team. I think we're gonna have myself, Luau, unfortunately, Spectreon, Mochi. So yeah, quite a few people which are going to be there. So if you're showing up, hey, Cockbar is the place to be, basically every single night. But no, I really hope that these teams get to show us something special, show us something good. I'd say, we can discuss like what kind of the strongest characters are right now. Obviously, Zarya's been something which has been really prevalent as of late. But also we have like arguably our best team in the tournament, headed by a Torb one trick. So it's all still very much up in the air.
Yeah, I mean, that's what you get with university games a lot of the time is you'll see potentially some off-meta choices, to say the least, do end up working out well. And, well, we'll have a bit to talk about because we know what map we're going to first. And it is King's Row, and neither of the
Arista and Tracer
characters that
ban.
we've said about are banned here. But, you
I
know,
mean, Tracer's never going to be garbage, you know.
no.
So if you're just uncomfortable playing against a Tracer, you have maybe something of a greedier or a squishier backline. That makes sense to ban out. Banning Orisa, I don't even know, man. Orisa is Orisa good right now? Not really. I wouldn't say she's like the worst tank in the game, but you know how like you could either have like for free, you could either have like, a Michelin starred steak made for you or like a Greg sausage roll, The sausage roll is good, but I'm taking the steak every time. You know what I mean? So we'll have to see exactly why the Orisa ban is out. Maybe you want to lean something like a Doomfist or a Wrecking Ball, maybe. You want to avoid that spear causing you so much trouble. For now, it's all just scouting and it's all just hearsay.
Yeah, a lot of it in these first map bans as well is you haven't seen these teams before if you're the other team, so you don't quite know what you're facing, you just want to get rid of something that you don't want to play against initially. But here we go, King's Row is starting off, and we have Azaria on one side, we have the Junker Queen on the other, and they're just sort of poking each other out at the moment, not playing too far forward, just playing around the objective. And Epitaph looking to find a couple of hits. Overwatch 2 now coming in on the Reaper, trying to get a bit more aggressive. TP's in, tries to get one, has to fade out on 4 HP, but stuck on the main wall. Doesn't quite get away, and Gilgamesh, nice wall to start things off here on this defense for Lancaster, but they're having to back away a little bit. Now taken down is Gilgamesh. Wet Cookie, a lot of util used, but good util from Willy Boss to take them down. FT2 doesn't stand a chance, as well as Suchef is sat on the high ground. Lisa Ninja takes down Epitaph though, and it's still a battle on the point. Overwatch 2 has come back now, and the big carnage there. Overwatch 2 takes down Suchef though, who had to drop, and now it looks like the advantage is on the side of Plymouth, as trying to keep their tank alive as Azure Tears, and only stuck on the point with Gilgamesh. Nothing left for this Lancaster team. Epitaph tries to get a little bit more time stagger, but not much is gained.
The Jungle Queen is just going to struggle so much here. Your fully charged Zarya can beam you down. There's nothing that you can really do about it. You go for a Carnage, she can bubble you. You have no real way of denying both of the flex DPS, whether a Reaper TP's in with a bubble or a Genji dashes in with a bubble. They're going to be quite well enabled. Would prefer Plymouth to have maybe one hit scan option, you know, say the bubbles for one of their flex DPS. Just gain more value where possible. But right now they seem to be cruising in a pretty straight line, momentum uncontested, and they're going to have, I mean, take your pick. They can grab here, they can blade here. There's about a million timelines which they can win this fight.
Yeah, instead it's the Kitsune out from Lancaster to start off the fight, and an anti-nade landed onto the Junker Queen. Now the grab is here. The Immortality Field has to be used, and FT2 goes in, but there's an anti-nade onto them to keep them at bay for now. The Junker Queen sticking on the point, making sure that no progress is used, but has to back away a little bit. Overwatch 2 trying to jump into the backline, but Gilgamesh takes a headshot to get them out before they could TP in. FT2 now looking potentially to use the blade. Good anti. Nice little Suzu to get rid of that. But there's the blade. There's the nano blade. And yeah, there's not really much that you can do about that. A couple of switches. I think both DPS on Lancaster have swapped a couple of times, so they don't quite have the ult advantage. Gilgamesh going for a bit of a desperation play with the Blossom, but it doesn't quite find enough.
We're gonna struggle with this Winston a bit as well. I like it better than I like the Junker Queen, but like this is still a very linear map. You don't exactly have high ground to stage from. You're very inclined to just get hard poked out before the fight even begins. You go in, you engage with the window behind your back, and it seems that you're able to cut a line between the members of Plymouth, which is good enough to get the job done.
Yeah, there's not enough there to keep the Zarya alive, and even a bubble. There was so much damage coming through that window that you just completely obliterated. Good job from Overwatch 2 to make sure that they get back though.
Yeah, the Zarya struggles a bit more into the Winston. It's hard to gain energy, and the bubble is going to be a big problem. It can split you off. You yourself can't break it particularly effectively. Winston can dance in and out of it quite a lot, so provided that Winston's able to get clean engages without being poked out hard, that could be a big deal. Overwatch 2 goes in, immediately scouted out here. Still wants to commit maybe with this Blossom?
Yeah, they're waiting, it looks like, for the Immortality Field to be used. And now we see the Grav with... there it is! I was waiting to see when the Blossom would come through, but it does come through eventually. With the Coalescence as well, they're just making sure that they get this. Gilgamesh is going to stall out with the Wraith form, but not for long.
Hopefully Sultans can have a slightly better time on this last point. There is the main high ground to play around. Good shout. 10 sensitivity, that's really high. But yeah, provided that you're able to get Sakharov to just hold position on this high ground, it can be pretty good. There is a Reaper waiting in the rings. Correction, there was a Reaper waiting in the rings, but unfortunately Gilgamesh used the special move and just kind of gapped him into oblivion.
Yeah, they've done well to scout out Overwatch 2 in these last couple of fights. There hasn't been an easy engage for the Reaper, but now we go in. The Primal is used, trying to get onto this support backline. They've done well to get away so far, and not able to find Lisa Ninja is Gilgamesh, but claimed up by Epitaph in the meantime. Now they're just going to sit back 4v5. They know they have the advantage, but they're going to have to get away here. A bit cut off are Azure Tears and Gilgamesh, and now they sort of have to hide in this alcove to make sure that they aren't taken down. Now here comes the blade from UT2, but Gilgamesh, in the meantime, uses the Blossom in the backline. Now the Blade comes to fruition. They get 3 off the back of it, and even though Sakaru takes down UT2 in the end, there is still a lot of damage that was done from that Blade. Not getting out, though, is Overwatch 2, as Suchef is taken down by Wet Cookie, and now they're going to look to get back in here. They have the numbers advantage for the moment, and look, just trying to stall out here as Sakaru has to be very careful to get away and doesn't get away in time. Taken down by the Tracer. Gilgamesh just about gets away with the TP, but not for long. Wet Cookie's got so much charge coming into this fight and can just walk up to the spawn doors, make sure that they can't get out. Even more with the grab, they have to use the immo field in spawn, and now the grab comes out. No one's going to be able to touch this unless they come the other way. Gilgamesh and Sakaru have just, managed to do that, but Overwatch 2 takes down Gilgamesh, UT2 takes down Sakaru, and that is all they wrote for this first attack side.
Impatience coming out from the Sultans of Lancaster there, and there's nothing really more to say about it. On the defensive side, they had a couple of key picks, but instead of waiting to recoup for spawns, the cart was only by the second corner. So another good, like, 10-15 seconds or so before the fight, which you could have waited for to take and engage. Instead, you take, like, an awkward, like, 3v3 fight into a fully charged Zarya, with Winston having no HP when jumping in. And it just kind of falls apart. A scrappy exchange like that, you're going to lose out to the overwhelming damage of Zarya 9 times out of 10. You wait there for 10 more seconds, you have a 5v3, you can hold on this last point for a bit longer, but unfortunately it's not going to be the case. And it seems like Plymouth Leviathans have put themselves in a fantastic position to get a victory here. Now Sakaru thinking, you know what, yeah, that Zarya character was kind of busted. Why don't we just do it ourselves? So that's what they're going to be doing. They're going to be bubbling in their Reaper on the TPs to get value. Basically force Plymouth into a lose-lose situation. Like, you shoot the Reaper, okay, cool, you can force him out, but you also have to give the Zarya energy and she's going to melt your front line. Okay, well, what if we just don't shoot the Reaper? Well, then you're not shooting a Reaper in the backline. And, you know, the 2 seconds of the bubble is more than enough time for just an instant 2-tap from that character.
Yeah, you do have a more standard DPS lineup from Plymouth as well. Overwatch 2 deciding to switch onto the Sojourn, so adding the hit scan, but it's Epitaph who's looking for the opening pick on the Widowmaker. Usually you only see 1 shot from them, but deciding to get a couple more off before
it's
going
so
back.
Tempting, you know, it's like crack, you know, like you take 1 hit, you just want to go for it again and again, you know. Sakaru swapping over to the Junker Queen. The Zarya can actually struggle a bit into the Reinhardt, but this means that you're not really going to be enabling your Reaper quite as much. Maybe they need it. Gilgamesh has a lot of damage, but in all of the scrap, Epitaph gets the first shot.
Yeah, it is the first pick for the Leviathans, but going back the other way, Epitaph gets taken down by Overwatch 2, and this nice charge there from Wet Cookie takes down the Junker Queen. Has to be careful here, though. They're taken down. They've stacked themselves out, and it's going to be a while before they get their tank back.
Yeah, it certainly will. I mean, yeah, like the spawns are always going to favour Sultans of Lancaster here, so they have a great opportunity to push in. But more to the point, Plymouth, I don't think really recognised that. Moira and Reaper staying forward. Reaper, by the grace of God, surviving all that. Now you have to fight a 4v5 if you're Plymouth Leviathans. And, you know, it's a tough time. Suchef's on this high ground, nothing can contest it. You have a window to use too. So we have to look for this Shatter to get some big value.
Yeah, it gets a couple in there, but it's Overwatch 2 that gets the picks initially. Finding 3 now, that overclock going mental, and Lisa Ninja cleans up Suchef as well. At least they didn't use the window.
Well, a Shatter to bait out Suzu is certainly an idea. Was it intentional? Absolutely not, but we'll go with the story. If you throw more ults at your opponent, you can win. Now Sultans of Lancaster are going to be in a damn good position. They're going to have every single checkmark to work with. So Plymouth, they go early with their only ult.
Yeah, they do have a second. They do have Coalescence coming in now, but it's the traded Kitsune that comes through and it's able to give them the aggression that they need. Lisa Ninja trying so hard to stay alive while in coal, but it's not going to happen, and a nice little team kill from Sultans of Lancaster to get their attack side going.
Fantastic ult discipline as well. It would have been very easy. often when you are in ult deficit, you are just going to go in with one ult by yourself, make chaos, and so even if you lose the upcoming fight, you can force, like, you know, 3-4 ults from the enemy. This Sultan's literally, they just exchange Kitsune. That's it. So they are still in a commanding position, and they will be in a commanding position, not just for this fight, but for the next one as well. Sultan Lancaster shaping up to be looking pretty here.
Yeah, they're looking to get access to this high ground, but Uti2 knows it. It's a battle of the Beyblades up on the high ground, and it's Uti2 who finds more. Willy Boss eventually taking down Gilgamesh as well, so only one from that Blossom, and they're having to retreat now. Just about able to get away is Sakaru, but they're going to have to lick their wounds.
Yeah, and we've made the swap back over to the Zarya as well. Not being able to take out Zarya every fight, you know. The only character that starts the fight weaker than she normally is. We see the Carnage, sorry, the Rampage, I should say, come in from Sultan Lancaster, and they're certainly paying dividends off on that ult economy that they invested in earlier.
Yeah, they didn't quite find it with the Blossom, but now they're able to take advantage, and Overwatch 2 is going to have a massive, well, not quite as much of a stagger as Willy Boss went down around the same time, but still, they're going to have to wait for a while to get that Ana back, and now they're going to have to look to posture towards this next fight in a 3v5. Maybe we'll see a bit more patience, but no, it's Uti2 who goes in initially, and now they've used the overclock and the window to try and secure this second point, and it's looking aggressive now. No one can really touch this. They eventually wait out the window and just about get back on time. Gilgamesh has somehow gone into the death hole. Willy Boss takes down Sakaru, but not before Lisa Ninja goes down as well. It looks like without the tank presence, they are going to have to back up, and just about able to stabilize is the side of Plymouth.
I would also like the Reaper presence as well. Absolutely no idea how Gilgamesh on attack is going into the death hole on third, but stranger things have happened in a game of Overwatch. Now it's kind of Plymouth Leviathan's turn to be on top. They're going to have all their check marks instead. Very efficient that last fight. They fought into a window overclock, lost nothing. Except for maybe their Sojourn.
Yeah, you can't overclock if you aren't alive to use it, and they're going to have to wait for Overwatch 2 to get back. In the meantime, Azure Tears is going to let rip on the Kitsune, and that means that Sakaru has access to the backlines. Uti2, though, has used that Death Blossom to good effect, but Gilgamesh and Sakaru are able to clean up, and there is second point capture.
Better shotguns, unfortunately, on the side of Lancaster, going into this with 2.5 minutes remaining. Reaper Ultimate and a Rampage could both be quite effective tools. Zarya has to be very careful with bubbles here. Should know there's a Rampage on the other side, and you can't be too greedy with them, or else it's nothing to stop those antis.
Yeah, and it looks like there isn't anything. They do decide to go to the Death Blossom as well. Not sure it was needed. I guess at least you forced out the nano from the other side, which I feel was a bit of a desperation play. So they do have some kind of advantage. No ults online apart from the Coalescence going into what could be the final fight. And it's a big switch around for Plymouth. They decided to switch a lot of their characters over. And it's Sakaru and Gilgamesh who are looking to get aggressive. Gilgamesh has to fade out, but Epitaph catches out Uti2 and Willy Boss here, so they've lost 2 in this fight, and a nice knife finds Lisa Ninja in the Coalescence. This looks like it's all but done for on this defensive side for Plymouth Leviathans, not able to hold up the Sultans of Lancaster after an initial fight. It looks like it's a very, very close time bank, only 1 second separating the two teams.
You know what? Both these teams better on attack anyway. Who even cares about it? But yeah, Sultan Lancaster coming out looking very, very different. They were uninspired on their defense, but on their attack, they were magnificent. To be honest, it's crazy when you're able to win out the Queen Jewel, because Zarya is a counter to Queen, maybe a soft counter, but still very much a counter. The fact that by the end of proceedings you're able to force Wet Cookie onto the Ramattra instead, which is like kind of not great, a little bit trash into Junker Queen, I would honestly say, is a bit of a testament to what Sultan Lancaster were able to do there. I think their DPS also stepped things up quite a lot, particularly Epitaph on the Sojourn was generally getting the better of the Plymouth DPS lineup as well. So we have two teams with the exact same amount of time on the clock, barring a second, of course. And it all has to be seen now. Wet Cookie is opting for the Ramatra on the defense. Again, not sure if I love this against the Queen. And also, Reclaimer lied to us. Apparently, Tracer was not banned by Plymouth. Thanks, Reclaimer. Love you.
Brilliant. So we love Reclaimer spreading misinformation on the internet, but now we go into...
What would Mr. Information think about that?
In overtime. Got Overwatch 2 on this Hanzo, looking to find a couple of shots as they push Hotel side very quickly, and it looks like it's paying dividends. They do lose Sakurub. In the meantime, though, Gilgamesh is able to get a lot of picks, and it's only Wet Cookie left, so they kind of have to sit and wait and make sure that they can stay alive, potentially, for the rest of their team to touch. They do have Nemesis form to stay alive for now, but it's not going to do too much. The two support backlines able to get rid of him, and the spawn advantage means that they will get this first point, it looks like.
I like the Freya swap coming out from Overwatch 2, and you know, I'm really surprised that Plymouth are choosing to touch here. They don't have their tank back in the fight. I can't say I'm a big fan of this move, but you know, if you're able to delay it by enough time, sure, I guess. And it actually tends to work out if you're able to catch Epitaph before your tank is even back. I don't even know what to tell you aside from team diff after a play like that.
Yeah, Sakuru's getting antied on cooldown as well, which is what you'd want to see out of Your Honor, but it's very, very dangerous for him. And Gilgamesh who gets the better of them without Wraith being used, and now you have the Annihilation, just the whole point here. The window comes in from the other side, but you are waiting, and now you're in overtime. You can do whatever you want, but it's a Beyblade that gets it started. The Annihilation used as well, but they don't live it. It's going to be the bowler trying to use on point, and Gilgamesh just about able to get the capture. Everything was used, and the kitchen sink, but Sultans of Lancaster just about make it through.
And this is why I'm not really a big fan of fighting that 4v5, because in a situation like that, obviously you won the fight, sure, but even had you lost it, you would have archway control. The spawns came out just a bit too late for Plymouth to be able to fully regroup, so instead, there's going to be like so much free distance, at least like 60 or 70 meters, which would be gained here by the Sultans of Lancaster. Plus Gilgamesh is just going in and executing your honor before the fight even begins. It seems like we're looking at the slow decline of the Plymouth Leviathans, as well as Wet Cookie, but that was a pretty quick decline.
Yeah, not the place you want to be if you're a March player, even if you're in block. And now Epitaph letting loose this blade. They get 3 off the back of it, and it's just a stagger and a snowball now in overtime. They're able to keep the advantage going. Willy Boss does have Nano, and they've decided to switch over to the Malga, knowing that the big body of the Hog is not going to be able to deal with it quite as well. But now they're looking to get back into this fight. I don't think they're going to be able to touch. They are going to be a bit more patient, waiting on this next point, and they go in after the touch. Willy was taken down by the hook as well, but did they see 9?
Right, so hear me out. Sakura got money for that play. I don't know from where, I don't know how much money, but, you know, my Hog is making the objectively wrong play, but also, it was at least a little bit funny, and he did get his kill. You know? Had to be done. Had to be done.
Yeah, I mean, if you're Sakurub in voice comms, you're going, well, guys, I got my one. But at the end of the day, you do want your Hog positioned on point, especially in overtime, where you've been
it's kind of his job at a time like that, you know?
Yeah. Anyway, they are going to look to do a bit better on their defensive side than they did in the first point. And you have to say, they did well to get through both objectives. even if they didn't get any further on the third point.
Tough day at the office. Getting snowballed is never the most fun thing in the world, but when you get into these kind of scrappy overtime situations, it can be an unfortunate consequence, right? So we're gonna see if Wet Cookie can aura farm here the same way that Sakura did by losing their team the match earlier. Um, I'm not sure if Wet Cookie wants to aura farm by losing the match or just by, actually doing something really cool.
Yeah, they're going to try and live or die by the Roadhog hook and trying to get at least to statue. They've got control here, but they're not getting as aggressive as you saw on Sultan's attack side. They really forced Hotel very quickly, and that enabled them to get onto the backline. Gilgamesh finds Overwatch 2 as well to start off this fight, and that means that they're going to have to be even slower. Willy Boss goes down as well to the Sojourn Grenade, and now Gilgamesh has to be careful here, but they're looking to get Wet Cookie down. That's another stagger, and this is exactly what you saw from their attacking side. They were just able to snowball off the back of several different kills, and they're doing well here. Sous Chef's done a lot of work, already at 50% on that window. Same with Gilgamesh on the Death Blossom, and a couple of ultimates sort of half charged for Plymouth on the other side. UT2 finds Epitaph though, and that's a good opening for them. They're going to look to get Gilgamesh as well, but Azure Tears takes them down with the Kunai, and now they can't scale off the back of this as much as they wanted to. They're going to have to stick around on Statue, and Gilgamesh tries to get a bit aggressive, is forced back by Overwatch 2, who now has a good sightline onto the rest of the team. They do have to use the Immortality Field to make sure that Sakharov stays alive, knowing that the anti is on there. Overwatch 2 has the overclock, but instead it's the other side that gets a kill first. Gilgamesh gets one, and it's onto Wet Cookie, which is arguably a huge pick in overtime already. Now they have the Rampage, and nothing that the two supports of Plymouth can do is eventually they are going to lose
No,
this.
wait! The replay, they C9'd! The replay ended, they C9'd!
What? I think everyone was dead from Plymouth.
Everyone was definitely dead. Everyone was definitely dead. So Plymouth just C9'd.
No, but it was Lancaster who were defending.
Lancaster who were defending, yes. Everyone on Lancaster was dead. And then Plymouth just got off the point in overtime at the last second, inexplicably.
Can we get a check on that, Prods? I feel like
this
one
format
of us has to be wrong, right?
confused me, but check on what? Check on the fact that did Plymouth just C9 and like the worst thing I've ever seen since like
Because I think
2001?
it was all of Lancaster that were alive.
Yes. No, Lancaster definitely died. Lancaster definitely died. And Plymouth were attacking, and they simply forgot.
Well, what a way to end our first map then, I guess. That's definitely not going to.
That is one of the worst C9s I've ever seen. Like, ever. I mean, ever. Do you know how long I've been casting this game for? And for me to officially declare that as, to be honest, the worst C9 I've ever witnessed.
I'm going back on this. I'm on
like
the...
you'd won the fight. There's no debate about it. You won the fight. It was over. You were ready to push the payload. Everyone on Lancaster was dead. I was about to talk about the fact that they were all getting split spawn, but no.
Okay, I'm gonna put something in the prod chat for you, Egda. I think you may need to go to Specsavers.
Probably, yeah.
Oh
well.
Yeah, it was the entirety of Plymouth that had been deceased, and it was Lancaster. So at least, the worst fears of the worst C9 in history aren't realized.
Okay, tell you what threw me off, because it said Sultan's on the attacking side and Plymouth on the defending side.
Okay, well, after all that is cleared up, we're going to
Okay,
go to our
sorry.
next map, which is
Sorry, you
Indoor.
aren't. You guys don't suck as bad as I thought. Only a little, but no. Okay, apologies. I am stupid and way too old to be doing this job. It happens to the best of us. It said that Sultan. It said Sultans were attacking, man, and so I just like assumed that they were. Anyway, going to be Ilios, where there is no debate as to who is attacking or defending. So my Chungus brain is going to survive, and we see the. Okay, it was Wu Yang that was banned earlier, oddly enough. Lucio ban and a Lucio ban. Did I don't think Lucio got played for all of King's Row.
No, not one that
No.
I saw
So
out of
we're
them.
so we're banning Lucio. I'm guessing to just protect our supports.
Yeah, I mean that kind of makes sense. I don't entirely know which of these teams banned it, but it means that I mean you either ban the Moira, which was played entirely for Plymouth, or you ban one of the two flex supports that were being used by Lancaster if you're on the other side. So maybe one of them looking to make sure that they don't get the other taken from them. But it's going to be a duel of the Roadhogs and seeing whose hook is better. Early
Okay then.
2 point as well.
Okay, putting yourself firmly on the objective can be fine. You just have to be a little wary of the Ash. Definitely not for Kiriko though, if you're able to get killed that quickly. But like, yeah, if you're just not going to directly contest the Ash, that's fine. You just have to be very stable on the objective. Like, could be able to fish in, catch Sous Chef will weaken Lancaster's hold a bit, but at least they get the initial first cap.
Yeah, UT2 looking to get aggressive on the Tracer. Sakura going down very low as well. A nice Suzu to make sure they stay alive, but they're being trolled by their Mei. Stuck away. Can't get away from the fight. And now the Cryo seems to be hurting them. But Epitaph able to find Wet Cookie in the meantime. UT2 is there to clean up, though. 2 from the Tracer. And Lisa Ninja comes through on the Moira as well to clean up.
The trace of Muti 2 is a delicate thing. You know, I'd rather maybe something like a Far or a Genji, but the point is you can just kind of poke and prod at Lancaster, and Lancaster realize it, which is why they're on the cast now. Now they need to get back to the objective, which is infinitely harder when Plymouth already have the space and control to just shoot you down, but infinitely easier when one of those people shooting you down is now dead.
Yep, good kill by Sakurub onto Overwatch 2, and Sakurub going through the rest of the team as well. Wet Cookie taken down, nice flashbang onto the Tracer as well, and a very easy take back for Lancaster.
Yeah, okay, so getting to the point not so bad if you're able to pick Overwatch 2. Not entirely sure how an Ash is in a spot to get hooked by a Hog in the first place, but you know what, happens to the best of us, so we won't discuss that in too much more detail. Now Plymouth, they can try and get aggressive here with a Coalescence, likely going to be the first ultimate use, the perfect engage ult as well. For Sous Chef, you think about who to put this Tidal Blast onto, likely... probably a Hog and like no one else, because there's no great targets.
Yeah, big dynamite landed though by Overwatch 2. Doesn't save Wet Cookie though, who went for the ultimate and doesn't find anything off the back of it. Now having to fight back into the ult. I love the optimism of going for the pulse there, but it doesn't find anything. Gilgamesh takes down Willy Boss as well, who looks to just get onto the objective. Bob has been put in as well. This feels like it's a bit of a misplay. You put in a lot of ultimates when really the fight was over and they're just able to stall out the Bob. And now you've got Wet Cookie coming back. You don't have the rest of the team here. Lisa Ninja goes down to Sakurub as well, and Gilgamesh takes down Overwatch 2. It feels like we're seeing a bit of what we saw on King's Row, just the stagger, and they're not patient enough to get the rest of the team back. Epitaph goes down to the flashbang, and that's going to be all they wrote for Lighthouse. They don't have anyone else to touch. It just feels like patience is something that Plymouth really need.
I would really like for... I really would have liked for Plymouth to... Again, I'm not doubting UT2's Tracer, but I don't love it. You know, on a point that enclosed, Trace doesn't have many angles to take. The idea is to poke from a distance, so a Pharah or an Echo, maybe a Genji, if you still want some of that dive potential, would be utterly fantastic here. So instead, you're going to go for something a bit maybe stylistically different. Get a Hazard on your end. Of course, Sultan to Lancaster, going to stick to the same. If it ain't broke, you're sure as hell not going to fix it. Plymouth going with the Hazard and the Reaper. So despite the fact they have the Zarya available to enable the Reaper, they're not going to have it. So a little more kind of tank agency and the mobility on a point like this is certainly going to be appreciated if you're Wet Cookie. But maybe the Reaper could struggle a bit more.
Yeah, especially if you've got a Pharah able to play outside of the Reaper's effective range, and already going down low as Overwatch 2. They've switched the Tracer over to the other DPS player, and it looks like it doesn't do anything. It's 3 quick kills from Lancaster, able to scale the point. Gilgamesh takes down Wet Cookie as well, and it's only Willyboss who's left alive. Gilgamesh? Hello?
You can fly. You can fly. Anyway, we're going to see a swap up come through from Plymouth. We're going to get OT2 on the Cass, having a hit scan threat to maybe not necessarily kill the Fire, but at least keep her in check, deal with her a bit. It's always going to be greatly appreciated. You just have to try to... It's a tough life. You have to try hard not to get too tunnel visioned on the Pharah, or else something like this could happen. You hook the one target that can't really go into the well, and so now things are going to get chaotic on the point.
Yeah, it's a trade of Cassidy to start off with, but Sakharov going down on the tank is going to be a bit of a bigger pick. Willyboss, though, found by the... and both the backline found by both the DPS. Epitaph takes down Wet Cookie as well. Epitaph goes huge, finds 4 in the fight, makes up for the fact that they don't have Sakharov. And a huge play from the Cassidy.
I think when you start writing the epitaph for Plymouth Leviathans, and again we're going back over to the Mauga, it brings back to that kind of tunnel vision point that I was talking about with the Cass, right? You know, the Mauga is effective at dealing with the Hog, but in the nice way possible. Sakharov isn't really the problem here. You know, it's the range, it's the DPS. Epitaph and Gilgamesh are doing a ton of work right now. So, you know, we get a really nice stick there from Overwatch 2. Actually, a beautiful stick. Catching 2 with that one. That's why they call him Overwatch 2 instead of Overwatch 1, ladies and gentlemen.
Yep. Game recognizes game, and Overwatch 2 recognizes Overwatch 2 with that pulse. Nice way to clean up the fight, and I think that was at least one that we can give to Gilgamesh going down and making sure to reset. But Willyboss was found early in that fight again, so they have to be a little bit careful with their positioning. Azurtis takes down Overwatch 2 though, so the hero of the last fight isn't able to find anything. They look for the ultimate onto the Pharah though, looking to set up the barrage, and they can't quite find it. Instead, the title goes onto the Diva. They're not able to do too much, and UT2's able to stick out the point on this Cassidy, using the High Noon to gain the advantage, and now Epitaph isn't able to find anything either. They're working their way back into this point. Gilgamesh finds one with the fadeaway, but that's not going to be able to do too much as Sakharov is found as well out of the mech.
We're meant to be in Greece, but it's seeming a bit more like the Wild West, the way these Cassidys are just dominating the lobbies right now. Clearly having a lot of agency themselves right now. Sakharov has already gone over to the Diva to basically just neuter the Mauga completely, and Epitaph found the opening pick once more, this time onto Overwatch 2, so...
That's definitely...
Yeah.
That's definitely an ultimate that was used in the game, but Sakharov finds 2 in the meantime. The
Speaking
Diva
of an ultimate that was used in the game.
Yeah, another one. And they now have point control back. If they're able to flip it here, it'll be final fight territory for both teams pretty much, as whoever wins out this next fight will have to stagger back on, have the other team stagger back onto point. Couple of big ultimates on the side of Plymouth. They have the cage, they have the pulse, but UT2 going down very low has to just sort of hang back, waiting for the supports to recognize that they need help, and Overwatch 2 going down low as well, has to recall. Wet Cookie now has the cage and is looking to use it aggressively onto the backline, able to find Epitaph, who isn't able to charge up that High Noon enough to kill them. Overwatch 2 finds 2 in the meantime as well, and now the bomb is going to kill Wet Cookie. They're not able to get away in time. And that could be a massive flip. The remake now is able to get down Willy Boss, and we said about the Cassidy's controlling, but now it's the Diva that's getting so aggressive. Overwatch 2 finds the pit, and now Sous Chef finds a kill with the title blast, and it's 2-0 for the Sultans of Lancaster. They win the map, they win the match, and definitely some plays that happened on well that could be taken back if you're Plymouth.
The problem is Malga's a big fella, so getting behind cover. Mal's a big fella. Getting behind cover to try and hide from the Diva Bomb. It's a lot easier said than done. You know what I mean? But yeah, big congratulations to Lancaster for their win. There it was very very hard fought, and yeah, as our observers pointed out, 4 deaths completely at the will of the players themselves, which
Yeah,
is
sometimes
like
avoid calls.
I mean, it's like having 4 nickels, which isn't many nickels, but why do I have 4 of them? You know what I mean? So big congratulations to Salter Lancaster for that victory. Commiserations to Plymouth. Commiserations to Plymouth, of course. But that isn't all that we have for today. We do have another matchup ready for you. After this one, it's going to be Southampton See Me Out versus the Strand Francisco Shock. Admittedly, that one made me giggle a little bit. Don't worry, we'll be back for that one in 10 minutes or so. So we'll see you shortly.
Welcome back to our University Student Showdown replay stream number 1 of the week, where we are now looking at Southampton Sea Meow versus Strand Francisco Shock. And a couple of things to note with these two teams is Southampton Sea Meow have a couple of players who, on this same day, had won the NSE Women Non-Binary Cup.
Hmm.
So congratulations to Katie and Exie. But we'll go into the rosters very shortly, and we can see the rest of the players that are going to be here, including
But
the.
the Well, that's not going
Uh,
to be confusing in the slightest. The name's certainly a bit more recognizable for Southampton, right? Names like KTR and Exie are going to be a bit more recognizable. That being said, notability doesn't always necessarily mean being good, right? So hopefully that's something that can come out. Immediately, I do give Strand Francisco Shock the credit for having the funnier name, because why not? I also don't actually know what uni. I'm gonna assume it's a London uni because like the Strand,
the
but
Strand, yeah, I think so.
yeah, but there's like 29 universities in London at this point, bro. So I actually have no idea who they may be. Southampton believe this is their second team. Of course, their first team, Supermarine, are currently at the top of the standings. So they have greatness to draw from, and they have, they have teams above them to give them some coaching and some guidance. So, but themselves, both these teams should be pretty even. Suravasa going to be our opening map, which is kind of like the perfect playground to see whatever can be played, whatever we can go to. These bands make some decent logical sense. The Zarya is so strong right now, and inherently getting rid of the Zarya also gets. I mean, it would get rid of something like a Genji, not immediately, but a Genji ban anyway. Gets rid of something like a Reaper as well. Makes a character like Junker Queen a lot stronger, a lot more viable. Maybe Wrecking Ball action. Wrecking Ball's in a pretty good spot right now. That's something which I'd be very interested in seeing as a shameless ball one trick.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of ball being played. This meta is just good for Wrecking Ball at the moment. But yeah, I do like the 2 bans for the price of 1 with the Zarya. I feel like that's gonna help them a little bit. But obviously, Suravasa, you're able to play around so many different ways to get to these different points. So expect to see something like a Lucio, and yeah, we do see that on both sides.
Okay, so we have two pretty good compositions immediately coming out here. They're essentially mirrored. Double flex DPS from Southampton, and then the Winston and the Queen. I mean, immediately I do give the Queen a bit more credence here, but Exie immediately knowing exactly where it's at, playing on the high ground, avoiding a confrontation where possible, going in aggressively with the Venture, but nothing's really been found from that. It's a trade right now, it's a 4v4.
Yeah, Katie finds Pacific though, so they're now up in this fight. No DPS here for Strand Francisco Shock, and now Dirt is just trying to sit back and play a bit of poke. Now, as Southampton have managed to get the point here, the Monkey goes in, looking to find this Lucio, and it's a nice play by CGO to find the melee, but doesn't quite get out. Dirt finds a bit in the meantime, and Exie just has to sort of sit back, taking a bit of damage. C plays, tries to go into something, but the Venture now doesn't have any cooldowns. And Dirt looks to try and get a kill onto the Lucio. C plays going down early again in this next fight, and Exie having to back up. That means that Strand Francisco Shock have taken the objective. Dirt goes down in the end though. Exie traded for it, so no tanks on either side, and now looking to get quite aggressive is Pacific, trying to find the backline. CGO trying to do the same to the other side, has to go and grab the health pack, and now it looks like Strand Francisco Shock have the advantage of the point.
Yeah, both these comps are so elusive and hard to pin down. You see both these tanks will often go in, and then they'll just kind of be left asunder, right? Kitsu Rush that comes out. JoJo's still really, really far away from theirs, which means that CGO is able to utilize that speed boost and the damage to its full effectiveness, immediately taking out both of the other DPS.
Yeah, the Tracer doing well to get off the back of that and not going down as well. The is taken down, and that will be a bit of a stagger onto the Junker Queen. Means that they're going to have to sort of rush to point here.
Yeah, I did say earlier I was a little worried about how Xe the Winston would do into the Junker Queen, but actually turns out you can't shoot what you can't catch, and Xe is playing to be really a bit creative, taking some kind of awkward angles. Pacific barely gets touched onto point, but it's an aggressive beat engage from KT.
Yeah, KT goes for it. The stick onto the Lucio as well, and doesn't stay still, gets the Freya taken down with the Pulse Bomb. Nice little stick there by CGO, means that they get the capture.
Oof, look like a butterfly and sting like a RPG, I guess. CGO absolutely styling there. But more importantly, Southampton really setting the tempo ult-wise. You know, they're able to use one ult apiece last fight to secure their respective victories. You're charging up so much faster than San Francisco's Shock, but they're going to have all 5 ultimates to deal with for Southampton's 1, basically.
Yeah, you do have Xy's Primal, so they are going to be able to get a little bit more aggressive, and they do find Eleanor before anything happens here. CJ finds the Freya as well, and Pacific goes down to Uber. Nice headshot there with the knives, and Jojo puts in Kitsune in a 2v5?
I think that's a Kitsu Jax, so to speak. I sure as hell didn't see a Kitsu come out.
No, the Kitsu was there. It's just in a 2v5. You're not able to make use of it.
Tough life.
Yeah,
Sure.
they don't have anything to block this vent roll as well, so it could go very big. No shield to be able to mitigate it. The looking to posture towards the point now. Xe trying to get into the backline, knowing they still have the Primal. The Pulse Bomb goes wide as well, just about able to stay alive, and takes down Pacific, looking to get aggressive and finish the kill. Instead, the script is flipped. C-Plays takes down Jojo as well. Kintsugi finds one, but Xe with the Primal, really good play there, able to flip the script entirely, waited until the last possible moment, lured Pacific in, and it's the Tracer that paid with their life.
This is fantastic from Southampton. They are taking advantage of the slightest errors in positioning that Strand Francisco are making, right? They're not just on the same page, they're on the same line, the same word, the same syllable. Now it's an aggressive engage with Strand Francisco with the beat, because what other options do you really have?
Yeah, you sort of have to go for it. Pacific does find Uber, but KT finds Jojo in return. Kintsugi gets the better of the opposing Venture, and Pacific does take out Xe. It looks like they're going to be able to take the objective. CGO just has to back up.
Never underestimate the power of sheer brute force when concentrated in the right spot there. Aggressive engage with the sound barrier, and was actually able to overcome the Kitsune rush as well from Southampton. So Strand Francisco in a decent ult spot here. It's just on KT to charge up this sound barrier. You have time on the point. I wonder if they maybe play slow for the beat and then just aggressively engage when it's up.
Yeah, they do have the time. Obviously, it ticks up quickly when you're on Flashpoint, but not quite quick enough. And now the beat is ready, so they're able to beat engage when they want to. C-Plays going in first with the Burrow, and now off the back of the Venture coming out of the ground, they use that ultimate to good advantage. C-Plays gives up their life for it in the end, but it doesn't matter. They've got what they needed. CGO now looking to play cleanup crew as Xe takes down Eleanor, and now the Venture is not able to stay alive. You do have the still there, but not able to get back to the point.
It's going to be a stagger. Yeah, that's a tough
huge
life.
stagger.
Yeah, not going to be able to get those collective spawns with the rest of the team. Neither is KTR, though maybe Lucio is a little better at getting back to the objective. Oh, and it's Malgang time. Okay, right. So now the is just going to try and stage onto the backline as best as humanly possible, and then immediately stomp onto him. C-Plays, despite the success of Southampton, I think Kintsugi has had a lot more success since going over to his Venture, and is really making a mark in this lobby now.
Yeah, they put a lot of pressure onto Uber at the start of that fight as well. Meant that Xe didn't have anyone to get away back to, and the Winston goes down, possibly not expecting the Malga. No surprises there. Just goes down very quickly. Jojo's built Kitsune as well. and Kitsugi has the Venture ultimate. Xy's trying to just get a little bit of poke, make sure to get the primal before this next engage. Has to be careful though, not to be forced to use it too early. Has to use the bubble onto point, and the trade of Kitsune's is now live. Jojo has to be careful, already used both cooldowns and taken down. There finds Uber in the backline, but you want a bit more pressure from your Malga. Xy trying to use the primal to get Eleanor away, and now they're just able to sort of sit on the point. They take the advantage right back.
I feel like Jojo kind of gifted that kill to Xy. Xy was in such an awkward spot, stranded, had to use bubble in the middle of nowhere, doing nothing, and then just kind of jumped onto Jojo, who had a swift set, but it was not far enough away. And now it's time for San Francisco to try and get themselves to scale through onto Southampton. But now they have control of every single angle. It's such a struggle, and that's one more angle cleared with the Tracer being gone.
Yeah, you have the beat for the engage, but you want it with all 5 players there, so they're sort of having to bunker around this corner, make sure that no one else dies before their next engage comes through. Pacific already going down fairly low, trying to get back to the rest of the team, as they are finally able to get through. Dirt gets the use of the beat, but trying to find
Bro, you didn't get it.
Yeah, Pacific in the meantime takes down Uber, doesn't find the beat from KT, but CGO trying to make the best of a bad situation. Jojo taken down in exchange for CGO. They still don't have the point here, as C-Plays looks to just stall out, make sure to get to 99 before going down. There's going to be a bit of a stagger, but the Venture is going to be able to get back a little bit quicker. Xy able to find Kintsugi as well before the next battle, and the just about isn't able to take them down. They do use a pulse as well. Pacific trying to find the monkey, trying to get away, but they don't quite get it. And now that it's 99 to 89, there is going to be a force of the point. The Malgacade is going to be a lot more of a tool for to be able to use. CGO now looking for someone to put this pulse bomb onto, and it's only C-Plays that's found in the cage. Very rough timing for them, but Dirt is just able to spray down the rest of the team sat inside that protective barrier. Jojo takes down CGO, KT taken down by Pacific, and the rest of the team is cleaned up by Kintsugi, and it looks like they're being able to stabilize a little bit more. This comp is working a bit more for them.
That it is. Surprised that the cage wasn't just immediately used onto Xy to just make Winston's life the worst possible. But, you know, you catch Venture in it, you're able to get the job done regardless. And the swap from Kintsugi onto Venture has been massive here. San Francisco not going to have initial control of the point. Southampton outmaneuvering them to that. So Mal is going to have to run in while essentially being covered on all angles here, which is definitely his biggest weakness. Tracer Jewel on the flip side. Pacific ends up winning it out, so immediately the angle control gained for San Francisco. So now, how much value are these ults going to get in a 4v5?
Yeah, you've got the Jewel of Kitsune's as well. Pacific's built up to the beat, but it doesn't matter if Xy's going to take you down with a primal. Instead, you have to use the beat to make sure that you can capitalize off of the advantage that you gained initially. Kintsugi finds KT, but C-Plays finds Jojo. That's a big pick now. The Malga doesn't have quite as much liability to play with there. Just about getting away as well. C-Plays playing well with their life, and Kintsugi goes down low. It's a trade of the Ventures on point, and Xy able to stagger out at least the capture for San Francisco shot. They do get it eventually, and Xy goes down trying to get away.
Yeah, I feel like Southampton were able to force some crucial ultimates out. They were able to force both a Kitsu Rush from Jojo and a Tectonic Shock from Kintsugi. Two small tools which could add up in the future. Note that Xy's also gone over to the Diva. This is just the better swap than Winston against a Malga. You can do everything Winston can do with the dive and the aggressive potential, but you're also not going to have your HP looking like shredded cheese when it's all done.
Yeah, Kintsugi deciding to get in on that Tracer 1v1, not giving them that, but that now means that the Pulse doesn't find an effective value. KT using the beat to good advantage, making sure that the stuck player stays alive, and now CGO is looking to find one of their own. They have the Pulse Bomb there, and they're looking to get aggressive on the point, but KT goes down in the meantime. Kintsugi finds the kill. The stick onto the Malga is going to be big, but they stay alive with the use of Jojo. and Pacific takes down the opposite number. C-Play's putting in the ultimate. I feel like that's a bit of a misplay. They do have the point now, so it avoids it ticking up over 85%, but Xe just has to die. Not more that you can do when you lose your mech there.
Now San Francisco, not only do they have control of the objective, Southampton are gonna be giving it up, right? You can see that they are... Oh, actually, no, they're... Now that's a bad thing. Either you're committing to the point or you're not, because now your Lucio's dead. And so now Strand just have the advantage in getting to the point with their Lucio, and you can't contest it properly. What I was gonna say is, you're going into this final fight, and The has, like, the best ultimate on the board. Anyone that's being caught in this cage, it is a death trap. Simple as that, right? So, San Francisco will take first cap, I imagine, off the back of this, unless some miracle happens. And then they probably just win out the map.
Yeah, it looks like you're going to see the dueling Kitsunes as well. Very close to its Uber, and they do eventually find it. The cage is used, but I don't think it finds much. C-Plays goes down very quickly, but...
Yeah. I'm going to assume that with C-Plays going down that quickly, they got cage. But yeah, it's as simple as that. Cage, the first person that you see, they die because there's literally nothing that anyone in this comp can do about being stuck in a cage. And yeah, take first cap. You're even pushing even more aggro to try and get more and more staggers. So a little bit of discipline. Ooh, actually, never mind. What discipline? Pacific's gone down. And JoJo's probably going to die soon as well.
Yeah, he's just about getting to stay alive, but it doesn't mean that they're out of the woods yet, as found by Xe, and now they're able to scale back onto the point. It may be 50% to the side of San Francisco Shock, but they just have to lick their wounds here. Eleanor trying to get another couple of ticks. Doesn't really do too much, and now staggered back is the Lucio. They do have 3 ults for this next fight, but 2 on the side of Southampton means that they are potentially going to be able to keep them at bay. You have Uber. Yeah, beat engaged, not surprising. The Kitsune is used in return, and now it's just an all-out brawl on the point. The pulse bomb goes wide from CGO. In the back pocket is Pacifics. They use it on the mech, but it's already gone down and already using the mech, the remake to get back up. JoJo is the first to go down in this fight. Takes a little while for someone to be killed, and C-Plays finds Kintsugi as well, and the kill feed is lighting up blue. It looks like C-Meow are going to be the ones to hold this point, and they have a couple of ultimates coming back into this. It's going to be a dry fight for San Francisco Shocks. They don't have anything coming back. They're going to have to force a point fairly soon, as it's now on 80%, and looking to get aggressive and make sure that they're stuck just for a little bit longer is Xe. The TP and the Suzu already forced out by Uber, and now the beat used, I think, is an Ajax. I don't see any overhealth there. C-Plays finds Kintsugi, but taken down by Pacific, and that's both ults that they don't have in this fight. Xe taken out of mech as well, and now it's 99%. At least you keep the Ventral for the next fight, but they use the Pulse as well? What's going on here? They have to discipline this fight. The cage is used by the, but coming back now is C-Plays with the Ventral ultimate, finds one, finds the, and that's big. And now they're forced off the point. They can't get back to touch, and eventually, after taking the first 2 points, a rally from San Francisco Shock to try and stay in the map. But on the final horizon, it is the C-Meow that end up there.
You say please KTY, but like, they won. You may not like it, but this is what peak Overwatch looks like, as we well know. Southampton going to put themselves a 1-0 up. Really impressed with both of those teams in that match, right? Southampton, obviously, they came out kicking on their Winston comp. The Mauga worked out a lot better than I thought it would for Southampton to adapt. They seemed a bit uncomfortable on the Diva, and then it just turned into... Honestly, the final point, there was no finesse, there was no team play, it was just all raw mechanics, and you slightly give the edge to Southampton in an exchange like that. So they go 1-0 up in this series, put themselves on match point, but it's a damn competitive matchup, and a damn good one as well.
Yeah, I wonder whether it didn't really feel like San Francisco Shock were found out towards the end of that fight. It was just Southampton winning out on the 1v1s in the end. A couple of misplays there means that they weren't able to get back to the point, but I'm not sure they would have won it out anyway. And yeah, good from Southampton just to make sure that they weren't mentally boomed after going up 2-0 in the map. They go back down to 2-all, and it feels like the other team's got all the momentum to take the fifth. But we're going to go to the next map now, and I believe it is Ilios that we're going to.
Okay, okay. Um, I've just looked it up. I think this is like King's College second or third team because King's has a campus, Strand campus. I just looked up the Strand University, and so I think I finally figured it out. I'm so clever. Please, everyone, say how clever I am, and then maybe give me a kiss. Ilios, yeah, Brig ban is interesting here. Again, we saw no Brig being played. We are continuing our trend of banning the character, which literally didn't do anything. Like it's like Briggs, like what are they saying fuck me for? What did I do? The Winston ban makes a lot of sense. The Winston caused a lot of problems for you, as Strand on that first so on Sovasa. It's why you went down 0-2. But Sovasa is a map where you can get away with playing a Malga. You're not quite the same on Ilios. So banning a Winston gonna force Southampton slightly out their comfort zone.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to see them play Diva instead. It was working out well, but instead it's going to be the on Diva and Xy's on the Hazard, so showing a bit of flexibility there. They're going to have the TP out of spawn for both teams, I believe, and then switching over to the Tracer to get to point. C plays is going to be the first one there. This venture is there again, and I think potentially you might see Kintsugi going over to it as well before the end of this fight. The has taken the high ground for now, but a bit of pressure trying to force the backline away. It does mean that C plays goes up there and tries to get a contest onto the backline, but they're giving up point control at the moment. Someone's going to have to touch, and you'd believe it would be the, and they eventually do go down and touch the point. They have to back away initially though, and this means that point objective capture without anyone going down is to the side of Southampton. And found in a bit of a precarious situation is Pacific. Xy doing well just to take the advantage and dive onto that Tracer. And now they're just having to back away and lick their wounds, our Strand.
You poke and pro for long enough, eventually someone's going to give, and that'll be Pacific in this instance. Kintsugi doing so much damage on this Freya. This is pushing Southampton really far back, meaning that Strand will take pretty good position by the Lighthouse.
Yeah, they're doing a good job as Strands of making sure that there's not too much pressure onto the backline. They're playing as a little bit of a death ball on the high ground, and Kintsugi goes low to CGO, but they do well to rally around and make sure that the Tracer isn't able to find the kill. Eleanor able to get KT as well, and then, I mean, it's a good riposte from Strand.
That it is. These are two very hotly contested teams. Won't be surprised if we see this map go the distance. We found Pacific on the angle, but has the reactions times to be able to leave. Good clearance by Seago, however. Going to be a lot of ults that can be utilized on both sides here. Look to open with the mirrored Kitsunes, and then likely both the DPS ults from Strand Francisco just to fish for a pick.
Yes, the Kitsune from Southampton that goes in early, and it's not mirrored by Jojo until later. They've already lost one, as both Lucios are already down. The eats the Pulse Bomb, and Pacific takes down C-Play, so they do decide to use the Kitsune a little bit later, but it pays off for them in this fight. As I believe Katie is now back, but they don't have the ability to scale back to the point, having lost CGO as well.
They do not. Mirrored sound barriers are going to be here from both of these sides now. Honestly, I don't think you go aggressive here, because otherwise you're just going to be countered by the downpour from Hazard. So I think you wait until that comes out, try and dodge it, use it as a reaction if you must, but mostly use it to try and secure your win. Or Xy could just go for like the most shithouse like downpour I've ever seen, which also works.
Yeah, decisions were made, and I'm not sure about that one, but a lot of pressure being put onto Uber. Good job by Katie just to make sure that they stay alive for now. As now the bowler is going to be in the back pocket, but Jojo is the one that's picked first in this fight. C plays finding the kill on the Venture, and now the is out of mech. It looks like it's going to be Southampton's fight here.
Yeah, despite the Bluetooth downpour, things ended up fine for Southampton. Seago certainly cleaning things up here on the Tracer. San Francisco now, things are still tough. Kintsugi's has been holding on to this ult since like 3 fights ago. You know, it charges so quick and it's such a low investment to rip it that you should just rip it at any available opportunity. Right, aside from that, Southampton can use their Kitsu advantage to engage early, or Seago can just die. Okay, that works too.
Yep, they are going to use the Venture ult just to try and gain a bit of an advantage back, and it does find Jojo trying to get away. Yeah, the Kiri juggle from the Venture, and a nice play onto Eleanor as well. That means that both supports, are down from San Francisco Shock, and now they have to touch the point. They don't have a choice as the decides to go for the stagger, and now the bowler that was kept in the back pocket for so long doesn't really find anything. They put it onto Xe, but not able to get the kill onto the Hazard. Pacific finds the pulse onto C-Play, but it's not going to be enough, as now the Kitsune's on the point. They just about touch, and there is back with mech, so the stagger works out just about. Kintsugi finds CGO as well, so now the pressure is on to Southampton. Uber going down very low, able to stay alive. Now the downpour does find one. Jojo's caught up in it and found and killed, but Xy's put so much into it that they aren't able to stay alive. The rally around from Strand means that they take down the Hazard, and now 2 kills there. Katie goes down as well. The is able to get back into the mech, having used the bomb just to stay alive. C plays is now on the point, and the overtime is now in the favor of San Francisco Shock. Someone has to touch on the other side. Xy's gone onto the Doomfist to get back, and now the Kitsune is set up onto the point. This is going to be very hard to aggress into. Instead, they try and go onto the backline. The beat just about able to be getting out from Eleanor before they go down. Kintsugi's built up the bowler again, and there's nothing on the other side. It goes on to Xe as well. Not able to find the kill off the back of it though, and C-Plays and Uberogi find 1 each. C-Plays now finding 2, doubling up, and Xe is just sort of sitting around the point. They're letting C-Plays play the objective for them for the moment, as there is now taken out of mech. It looks like it's in the favor of Southampton again. Nothing ticking for their side though, as it's 99 to 99, and Eleanor is able to put almost Katie into the grave, but you do have the ult advantage now. They're not quite able to touch. Kitsugi on the Sombra goes for the final touch of the objective, but it's not gonna matter. And eventually, in all the chaos, Southampton take Ilios well.
Yeah, that they will. Southampton are looking pretty strong here. San Francisco looking a little less strong, but still utterly fantastic there. To be able to drag Southampton into deep waters, which is kind of exactly what you want to be doing. You swapped up your comp quite immeasurably when all was said and done to go over to the double flex DPS. Kintsugi was doing fantastically on the Freya, to be honest, but, you know, it can be very hard to keep your distance on a map like on a point like Lighthouse. Now we go over to Ruins, you're gonna have so much more distance to play with for Kintsugi. This Freya that was already doing wonders where it was not necessarily in Kintsugi's favor should be utterly fantastic here.
Yeah, C-Plays, I mean, you're going to be forced to use a lot of your cooldowns to get in on the Venture, and potentially that means that you're not going to get out, so you have to use your dives to your advantage, but they're going to put pressure onto Kitsugi, force them off the high ground. It does mean that they're able to get away. They just waited in the burrow for them to have the dash away, and they just about stay alive with the help of Uber and Katie. Xe is just going to sit down on this point, deciding to mirror the Diva now instead of going for the Hazard, and it's sort of paying off for them at the moment. They have objective capture. Even though no one's died, they do have the better advantage of it for the moment. They're looking to force them back, and C-Plays has to decide whether you stay alive or whether you get the hell out of dodge, and it looks like they're not going to be able to do either. They're using the missiles to take him down. And you see how much Kintsugi is doing on that Freya with the fact that they've already built up Bola. It's a fast charging ult, but not that fast if you're doing little damage. And now it just looks like there's a cleanup. 32% is a good start for Southampton, but Strand take the point.
Southampton really going to be struggling to close distance on this map. You can see every time Seaplay goes in, has to cross a lot of space, has to commit a drill dash just to get to the high ground, so it's not likely you're going to be able to get an assassination with it, and then forced to use the burrow quickly as well, and then just kind of meander back to your own team. It's a very tough time that this Venture's having.
Yeah, not the situation you want to be in. You question whether there's going to be a switch up at some point, but they use the Kitsune, which they have advantage on. Uber's built that up quicker than Jojo, and the B is in return instead. And they're using it to force some pressure onto Uber here. Staying alive just about with the use of the TP, but Jojo finds C-Plays trying to deal with the assassination, make sure that that can't happen. Pacific finds Katie as well. Xe getting one return onto Jojo and uses the remake to make sure that they still have pressure on this fight, as now they don't have the Kitsune coming back. Pacific goes down low, forced a recall, but in return, Eleanor takes down Uber, and that looks like it's going to be forcing Southampton back for now.
Yeah, so San Francisco is still maintaining good control here, of course, off the back of everyone, but of course the Freya that we mentioned. Seago with a bit of a cosmetic pulse bomb attempt there, not sure what was being gone for. Sound barrier for Katie is going to be the main ult advantage here, but you have to use it to match out this Kitsu, because you don't have one of your own.
Yeah, and it's forced to use it rather than using it as your own engage, but they try and get where they do get a pick in return. Eleanor goes down, and Jojo as well, so no support backline. That's going to be probably the end of this fight, but they're looking to find C-Plays here with the bowler, and it means that they can't get away.
I hate you, C-Plays, says Kitsugi. You are a fugly slut. It's on our Mean Girls, it's crazy.
That is mental to use that onto the Venture, and it means that they're able to get back. They've got all of their players back now, with Eleanor and Jojo being able to get back pretty quickly. They're going to force some pressure on CGO, force the Tracer back away, and this is the advantage that they have with the beat. It's not on the other side, as The's going crazy at the moment. Finds KT, finds CGO, C-Plays finds one in return onto Eleanor, but The triples up in this fight, finding C-Plays, forces the D-Mech onto Xe, who is also taken down by Kintsugi before they can get back in mech, and that's going to be Strands taking Ruins.
Yeah, Kintsugi looks to be a natural hit scan, and so he's well at home being able to just play distance, land shots on the Freya. Southampton not able to close all that distance, of course. They don't have the Winston to close the space quickly. Hazard would just be too slow, so they have to settle for a Diva instead, and I mean, they're doing a bit better in the straight-up mirror. And now things get a bit tough, however, right? You know, if Lighthouse was good for the Southampton comp, and Ruins was good for the Strand comp, coming over to this final point is... Sorry, this one's Lighthouse. Well was earlier. Lighthouse now, things going to be a lot more even here. Kintsugi still plays some distance, but is more at risk of getting assassinated by these DPS. There's less distance that they have to cover. Plus, Xe can go onto the Hazard again, clearly a comfort pick.
Yeah, there's a couple of places that C-Plays can use just to go around the map. The Tracer 1v1 is still here. Both of them use the recall early in this fight, but C-Plays does use the ability to get around the map to the advantage, but Xe and Uber are taken down as well by and now C-Plays forced to drop onto the point, make sure that they can't get capture, and now they're looking to get aggressive, but going down fairly low. Kintsugi is the one on the point, CGO takes them down, and now it looks like it's in the favor of Southampton again. They're doing all that they can, and Jojo back as well, so they do have the aggression on the point. It's going to be a 3v3 here. Both supports and the tank on both sides. Jojo going down very low. They're going to use the spike guard to make sure that they can get that kill. Xe. And now the returning players, the cavalry's back. Pacific is back for them. Going down super low is Eleanor, but going down even lower and getting killed is Katie by Pacific. Xy's forced the DMEC from and C-Plays finds Eleanor as well. So now it looks like it's in the favor back of Southampton. This is going back and forth like a pendulum, and eventually it looks like Southampton takes point.
Yeah, and so maintaining a good ult discipline as well. Actually charge up to that downpour. Not going to have to use it. We'll see if it can get a bit more value than some of the other downpours that we've seen today. But now you have control of the high ground. And though is stuck in like the worst possible position, utilizing the downpour. I think the Lucio barely tagged by it, which allows Seago to get a quick clean up.
Yeah, Xy takes down Jojo as well, so it's going to be a quick fight here off the back of that downpour, and they only use one ult as well. It means that they have a couple more in the back pocket for the next fight. Trying to find Pacific is CGO, but they're able to get away. The decides it's not worth
they
staying.
keep staggering the.
Yeah.
Really tough.
They're going to have to sit here and wait, but they do have ults of their own. You can see how Kintsugi hasn't been able to use the Freya as much as potentially on Ruins, as now they've only just built up to the ultimate. Uber now looking to potentially use the Kitsune, as both of them are used dueling, and CGO uses a pulse to try and get the, but instead they do force the bomb on point in the remake. Pacific now trying to find the opposite number, eventually does. C-Plays takes down Eleanor though in the meantime, and Jojo takes down Katie. Looks like his numbers up for Strand as Xy takes down Jojo with that. I thought it was just going off the map, but able to stay alive with that wall for the moment, but eventually taken down by Kintsugi, who is able to clean up.
Yeah, C-Play just going to be getting back to spawn as fast as their lulles can take them, or drill in this case rather than legs here. Ult Bank essentially burnt for both of these teams. You know, a stray Pacific Pulse one could be nice, but what's the likelihood that it just misses or gets Suzu'd decently high? So it's again, it's the downpour from Xy, and it's been struggling to find tons of value from it. But, you know, who needs value with a downpour when you can just straight up take out Eleanor? That is an L for Eleanor, indeed.
Yeah, and they've used the TP to get further towards the point. It means that Jojo goes down, but the DPS fighting back on the other side. Kintsugi not able to get away from Xy, though. That Spike Guard doing the majority of the damage. C-Plays finds Pacific as well, and now the has to fight to not get staggered again. I believe they're going to be able to get out, but it was a bit of a rough fight there for Strand. They're now going to have to get back and touch the point, as it's 94% for Southampton, and CGO finds Jojo initially. The as well as lost mech in this fight, and this is curtains here, surely, as Southampton are gonna force Eleanor back onto the point. It's not going to be able to do enough though. Pacific finds CGO, but it's a bit of a cosmetic kill, and Eleanor's still alive, able to touch back onto the point, but it's not going to be able to do too much. Kintsugi just trying to get some damage in, pad the stats a little bit, but at the end of the day, Southampton are the ones that take Ilios 2-1, and they take our series 2-0.
Wow. Again, I was super impressed by both these teams. I don't really think that was a game that Strand lost necessarily. It's just one that Southampton won. You know, they were firing all cylinders. The Winston band came out and they went over to the Hazard instead. It's clear that they are really comfortable on Hazard, really comfortable on Winston. Xy, I think at one point in time played or may have filled in for the Southampton first team at certain points when Billy Jim G wouldn't have been around. Do correct me on that. I think I could be very, very wrong. But no, a fantastic team and a fantastic win as well.
Yeah, doing well to consolidate on their first point win of Suravasa means that they take Ilios as well. And you could see how much the Freya could do on the longer sightlines, but just not able to put in enough to get them over the line on Lighthouse. I think just the potential for C-Plays to be able to go around and take different angles instead of just being forced to go, okay, I'm going to dive onto your Freya. You know what I'm doing. You're going to be able to put a lot of damage into me before I can even get there. Meant that they were able to win it out. But that is all we have for you today. That is our last map of this replay stream. A reminder that we're going to have another one of these on Friday for you, and as well, going into Sunday. This is our final week of Swiss, so by the end of Sunday, we will know who our teams are in each division playoffs. And a reminder as well that we have several division playoffs for you, not just Swiss going down from about Div 2 onwards. We have so many different matchups to bring you over the course of this playoff picture for the winter split. So don't go anywhere away from us. A thank you to all of our production team who have been working really well behind the scenes. Got Luau producing, assistant producer Zook Foodle, Mochi's observing, and of course me and Egder on the cast with you. But don't go anywhere. We're going to be back with you on Friday and, of course, on Sunday as well. We hope to see you then, and goodbye for now.